Hi everyone, good morning. I'm Forewarned Melanie Layden, and I'm here for you today talking kids. All right, there's my connection. Here we go. All right, hey everyone, good morning. I'm meteorologist Melanie Layden here on your Weather School for Kids today. Today's lesson is about thunderstorms. I thought it was pretty appropriate since yesterday was a forewarned weather alert day. We were supposed to have a lot of thunderstorms rolling through, but we actually had a better ideal situation happen. I'm going to teach you why we didn't see as intense thunderstorms as we originally forecasted. Some areas did get hit pretty hard. All of the thunderstorms and also some of the tornadoes stayed well to the south of us, but also still hit some of Tennessee, and that did include areas like Chattanooga. So I want to talk to you about how thunderstorms form, what makes up a thunderstorm, and the capabilities they have, the threats they produce. Things like tornadoes can come out of thunderstorms, damaging wind gusts, hail, flooding. So first of all, we're going to talk about how they form, and then we'll get into some more details about what you can expect from thunderstorms when they hit your area. So first I want to show you a couple of pictures here that I have. This is what a typical thunderstorm looks like. We can see a lot of lightning out there, and a lot of thunder usually produced from these as well. This is a picture here of some of it coming down on some trees, and lightning does typically like to hit trees. It likes to hit things that are actually very tall, so out in fields and things like that. That's why you want to lay low to the ground and not be in wide open spaces. So for a thunderstorm to form, it needs a couple of things. It's got to have moisture, it's got to have instability, lifting, and wind shear. And wind shear is actually what makes those tornadoes turn severe. So what we need out of these, moisture for one, is going to be your rainfall. We see a lot of rain with thunderstorms, and also humidity. That's why we also see a lot of thunderstorms that typically form in the spring and summer months when it gets warmer outside, and that's exactly what happened yesterday. That instability forms right here. That's that warm air that rises up by an updraft into cold air. It needs to have cold air in the atmosphere first before your surface air, what we feel down here on the ground, on Earth, that warm air is going to go up into the atmosphere by a lift. And a lift can be one of several things. It can be typically what we see here are fronts. So you know how it feels really cold outside today? That's because a cold front has come in right behind those storms. They can also be caused by what we call a low-level convergence. And that's also something that causes an updraft or a lift to make thunderstorms form. You probably heard about jet streams before. That's also something that can cause all that warm air to get sucked up into the atmosphere like that. So whenever we have a thunderstorm that actually turns severe, that's categorized by its wind field. And that's what makes the difference between a regular thunderstorm and a severe thunderstorm. You've got to have wind speeds over 60 miles per hour. And we have been seeing that a lot lately. In fact, late yesterday around 5 or 6 o'clock or so, you probably heard a warning on your phone if you live in Davidson, Williamson, or Wilson County about a severe thunderstorm warning that rolled through. It was very quick, but our winds got up to about 60 miles per hour, and that was just enough to categorize that as a severe thunderstorm warning. You also want to have dew points over 55 degrees. This is what a typical thunderstorm looks like on radar. You can see it there, a lot of reds and yellows lighting up the radar there. That's what we look at as meteorologists. I'll show you a couple different examples. Here's one of a big line that's coming in right over our WSMV studios. Now this, of course, is a very old image, but we see a lot of lightning strikes with these as well. A lot of energy is typically formed in a thunderstorm also. And here's a look at what a line does. When we have a long line of thunderstorms rolling through, that's when we typically see a front that's moving in with it. A line forms in a lot of these thunderstorms, and that's a perfect example of a clear, defined line there right over Nashville. And if you're just dropping in right now, this is not right now. This is a still image that I took from a while ago, but just an example to show you of what we look for thunderstorms on radar. Now, we typically categorize a severe thunderstorm warning into a couple of different categories. You probably have heard us before talking about a marginal, slight, enhanced, or moderate risk, and very, very rarely do we ever have a high risk out there. And this is what we call a level 1 out of 5, level 2 out of 5. Yesterday, you probably heard on TV us talking about enhanced risk for Middle Tennessee, and that was a level 3 out of 5. And how we categorize these are basically kind of how they sound. A 1 is on the low level. We could see some isolated storms storms possible. They could be intense at times. They could be producing some hail, but it's not something to get too worked up over. A slight risk, which is level 2, is a little bit greater on the scale. They're going to be short-lived storms, not very widespread. They're very isolated, but they could be intense as far as maybe knocking over some trees or causing flooding in certain areas. An enhanced risk is something that we don't see too often, but it's not uncommon for where we live here in Tennessee. That means we could have numerous storms possible. They're much more persistent and they're much more widespread, and a few of those could be pretty intense. And that is the level that we were on yesterday. We had the enhanced risk for all of Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. Now, when we get into a moderate risk, the red color, that's a level 4 out of 5. And that is pretty rare to see, but it definitely happens down here. You know, we live right in an area in the south where we get a lot of tornadoes. And typically when you see that moderate risk, the red color, that means that tornadoes are likely. That means these storms are going to be long-lived. They're going to be widespread, pretty intense out there too. And luckily, all of those storms stayed well out of our area. They were all down to our south. So if you watch the news this morning, you probably saw the news about down in Mississippi, Alabama, parts of Georgia got hit pretty hard by some storms and even tornadoes. And it's very rare to see a high risk. That's that pink purple color you see there, a level 5. That means we are very confident that widespread storms are going to be all across the area. These are very long-lived, widespread, particularly intense, and that means that we are expecting tornadoes, which you see there in that picture. In my career, I've only seen a high risk issued probably twice. It's very rare to see that, but it's definitely possible. So obviously thunderstorms have the capability of turning into tornadoes depending on the kind of wind that you get. So let's go back here. I'm going to go back to that first picture of a thunderstorm. And if you're just tuning in with us, this lesson today was on thunderstorms and how they're formed and how they're made. You've got to have those 4 ingredients, which are moisture, instability, lifting, and wind shear. And instability is kind of a bigger word for some of the kids here, but what that means is you've got warm air down here where we live getting sucked up into the atmosphere where cold air lives. And that is what's causing the instability, the warm and cold air mixed together. But it's got to get up there by some lifting. You see that right there? It's called an updraft. And we typically see that being formed when we have a big temperature change. So for example, yesterday we saw a lot of storms. And today we're seeing cold air. That's because a cold front has just moved through and it's really dropped our temperatures. So if you're heading outside today, you may want to grab a jacket. You're also going to have dew points that are at least 55 degrees or more, and that also kind of contributes to the moisture, which would obviously be the rain, and also the humidity too. And humidity is basically how we measure how sticky the atmosphere is feeling. You know, in the summertime when it feels really sticky out there, we've got very high dew points, which is making it feel very humid outside. And the difference between a regular old thunderstorm and a severe thunderstorm is how much wind we have. And that wind shear, when it's really great out there over 60 miles per hour, that's when it definitely turns severe. So that's today's lesson on thunderstorms. I hope you enjoyed it. Every Monday through Friday, the whole Forewarned Storm team hops on here to Facebook Live at 11 a.m. and we do a live weather lesson for you for all the moms and dads at home stuck there with kids. We're here to help you get a little bit of relief and also offer a little science lesson for the kids too. So we've had a lot of great topics so far that you're able to go back on our News 4 app and our website and actually search for those. I've done a lesson before on hurricanes. I did one on thunderstorm and tornado safety. We've done lessons on clouds, on wind. So they're for all ages. Today's lesson was probably geared more toward middle school age range. We do some for young kids, kindergarten age, and we also do some for kids in high school. So every day it's something different, and they're always at 11 o'clock, so we hope you can join us right here on Facebook Live as we try to teach you something about the weather. So I hope you have a great day. We're looking at weather today, looking a little bit nicer than yesterday, not as wet. All the rain is now clearing out. We're left with some colder air, but still a beautiful day to get out and enjoy. Hope you can catch us on News 4 at noon in a little bit. We'll have Dan Thomas give you an update on the weather today and when our next rain chances move in. Hope to see you next time. Hope you have a great day.